Good day, everyone. Today, I'll be reporting on the present state of science and technology of the Philippines, its current issues, historical context, government efforts, and the role of different administrations in shaping science and technology policies. So, the country's socioeconomic status is highly dependent on the progress of science and technology. Without science and technology and the support of scientists and engineers, there can be no real industrialization. And a nation's progress is linked to its capacity to sustain itself and to produce local industrial products for domestic use. However, based on global measures, the Philippines is still technologically lagging. In the Global Skills Index 2019, we rank 55 out of 60 in technology skills, among the bottom 10. In the Global Competitiveness Report from 2016 to 2017, we only scored 4.3 out of 7, compared to Switzerland's 6.4. These show how weak technological readiness continues to affect our GDP and competitiveness. Some challenges are low technological capacity due to lack of research facilities, laboratories, and science library. Next is the unsatisfactory information networks, making it difficult for the students to pursue research. And lastly, the brain drain that many Filipino scientists go abroad due to lack of funding and financial support. So now, let's move on to the historical context. Back in 1950s, the Philippines was among the top 5 in Asia in terms of industry and technology. We were considered progressive and even ahead of our neighboring countries. But over the year, we were taken but we were overtaken by East Asian countries because we failed to continuously upgrade our scientific capabilities to remain globally competitive. For the government efforts, so despite the challenges I have mentioned, the government continues initiatives like scholarships, trainings, and educational programs to produce graduates in science and engineering. The central leadership is handled by the Department of Science and Technology, which was created by Executive Order 128. This is mandated again to provide central direction, leadership, and coordination in science and technology policies, plans, programs, and projects. So we have here the DOST institutes. So to understand how DOST works, here are some of its key institutes. So first, we have the Technology Application and Promotion Institute. So it helps commercialize technologies developed by scientists. It assists inventors rather, in patent applications and marketing their inventions. Second is the Science and Science Education Institute, or SEI. The purpose of this is to promote science education through scholarship and training. One good example for this is the DOST SEI Scholarships Program for undergraduate in science and technology courses. Third, we have Science and Technology Information Institute, or STII. So it is considered as the information arm of DOST. It serves as the managing databases and libraries, publishes science and technology post magazine, and maintains online research portals. So fourth, we have the Industrial Technology Development Institute, or the ITDI. It conducts applied research and development in manufacturing, energy, and mineral processing. Example for this is developing cleaner production technologies for factories, so it does not harm the environment. Lastly is the Advanced Science and Technology Institute, or ASTI. So it focuses on microelectronics, AI, or artificial intelligence, and space technology. So example for this is the work on the Diwata 1 and the Diwata 2 microsatellites launched into space. So this helps for disaster risk reduction since it can monitor typhoons or weather. So now we will move on to DOST councils. It has research councils that specialize in different sectors. So we have the Philippine Council for Agriculture, Aquatic, and Natural Resources, Research, and Development. So this research and development aims to improve, example for this is research and development aims to improve um, mga in agriculture, rice and coconut varieties, fisher folks, and such. Second is we have Philippine Council for Aquatic and Marine Research and Development. So an example for this is a research on marine life, seaweed farming, hatcheries, fisheries, and such. And we have the Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, Emerging Technology, Research, and Development. So these supports, example for this is that this council supports startups in robotics and renewable energy. Fourth is we have the Philippine Council for Health, Research, and Development. Example for this is this council helping uh, those scientists or mga or scientists, experts in developing herbal medicine like what we know as lagundi tablets or syrups. Next is we have Philippine Council for Advanced Science and Technology Research and Development. The studies, example for this is studies in advanced materials, electronics, and nanotechnology. Lastly is the National Research Council of the Philippines. It provides funding for basic research in natural and social sciences. So, kumbaga, compared to the other councils, it is a wider, it has wider scope since it does not only focus on a certain field but finds a bridge between the natural and social sciences. So now we will move on to the science and technology under contemporary administrations. First, we have President Ferdinand Marcos. So he created the Philippine Coconut Research Institute that aims to improve, of course, coconut productivity to better utilize or better better produce mga materials or outputs coming from the coconut. Next is he also established the Philippine Textile Research Institute. So with this, it helps the mga weavers, local weavers, to explore different um, raw materials such as abaca, pineapple, or pinya, and banana, ang mga banana na fibers. Next is he also established the Philippine Atomic Energy Commission in 1970, which promoted nuclear energy research. Next is he created the Pag-asa in 1972, which is a weather bureau for forecasting. And he also organized NSTA in 1981. So this NSTA is for Central Direction of Research and Development. So now we will move on to President Corazon Aquino. From President Marcos, he renamed the NSTA to DOST, giving it a cabinet level status. So she formed Presidential Task Force on Science and Technology in 1981 to aim for NIC or newly industrialized country status by 2000. She developed Science and Technology Master Plan from 1991 to 2000, focusing on 15 key factors, namely aquaculture, fisheries, forestry, natural resources, industry, food, energy, transport, IT, electronics, pharmaceuticals, and etc. So now let's move on to President Fidel Ramos. He expanded the science and technology scholarship programs. He enacted first the Inventors Incentive Acts, which provides tax and financial incentives to inventors. Second is the Science and Technology Scholarship Act that strengthened support for the students. And third is a Magna Carta for scientists, engineers, researchers, and other science and technology personnel presented in Republic Act 8439 and 1997, provided these Magna Carta provided better benefits, salaries, provides higher pay compared to other jobs, or the hazard pay, especially those scientists or inventors that are exposed in a more or in higher risk area. And then it also provides protection for um, science and technology personnel. So let's move on to President Joseph Estrada. He enacted two science and technology related laws. First is the Clean Air Act of 1999. This address air pollution. So to enact this, um, that's why when you register your vehicles, there is an emission test so that it is assured that the amount of carbon dioxide that your vehicle is expelling is not harming the environment. Second is the Electronic Commerce Act of 2000, which recognized electronic documents and e-signatures supporting e-commerce. So with this act, it is stated that mga online transactions are legally binding. Next, we have President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. She promoted technology entrepreneurship from 2004 to 2010, enacted Biofuels Act of 2006 and the Republic Act 9367. So she encouraged renewable fuel production. So even if the fuels are imported, with this law, she urges the businessmen to at least mixed a biofuel to gasoline or to diesel. Next is Philippine Technology Transfer Act of 2009, which strengthened the IP rights and intellectual property rights and allowed universities to commercialize research and development acts. So this ensures that all of the inventions, all of the ideas, the studies will not just stay on the laboratory, but it can also be expanded to or it can also be shared or it can help impact the community. It developed the National Science and Technology Plan or NSTP from 2002 to 2020, focusing on self-reliance. Now, we'll move on to President Benigno Aquino III. He adopted Harmonized Agenda for Science and Technology. In 2014, it focused on disaster risk reduction and inclusive growth. He also enacted Fast Track S&T Scholarship Act of 2013. These provides expanded scholarships, especially for science and math teaching. And lastly, we have President Rodrigo Duterte. He increased the DOST budget to 5 billion in 2010. So now it became 20.8 billion in 2017. It also boosted the research and development funding from 1 billion to 5.8 billion. It focuses on research and development in agriculture, health, marine science, and space technology. In summary, the Philippines has strong potential in science and technology but continues to face issues in facilities, funding, and technological readiness. With continuous government support, improved research and development, and stronger encouragement for local scientists, we can work together, becoming globally competitive.